I'm sure you've done every podcast in the world so far, haven't you?
Well, actually, this is the first. I think she's selecting only the best podcasts to go.
Well, yeah, and that's good. Get that, practice that, because you're going to say it another 100 times this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Of all charges.
Talk about the good times with Talking Elvis.
Hello and welcome to episode number 35 of Talking Elvis. My name's Ian Graham. With me today is my special guest. It's Vince. Hello.
Hello, you've stolen my job.
I have, yes. I thought I'd jump in there and thought, well, it's been 34 shows and you've just been doing it however you want to do it. So I thought, now it's my turn. So I turned your microphone off. And it was really funny, actually, watching you talk.
Yeah, I can lip sync for England now.
So, yes, welcome to show number 35. I hope you enjoyed show 34. That was basically me and Vince just talking as we would in that bar, wasn't we? That virtual bar that we're forced in at the moment. So that was good fun. So, did we get much feedback from that?
Nicely. I think there was a few... knowing people there are going, oh yeah, I was there, I did that. I think people were afraid to commit because of their wife, spouse, whatever. But there was a lot of nodding and knowing glances and all sorts of other things that came to. Yes, very, very nostalgic and very good.
We do, it's like our Elvis life existence is quite often done on a nod and a wink, isn't it? Yeah. see him over there and see her over in the other corner. Well, we know different, don't we? You know what I mean? Yeah. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Oh, yeah, right.
And hello to all of you people who you know exactly about whom we're talking.
We know what you did last summer. Well, in 1984.
Anyway, Mr. Vincent, what have we got on the show this week? Have you got any news for us?
I've got news, yeah. Well, I think the first news is that you've sabotaged the show and taken over, all because I was moonlighting, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
I think it's about time again this week, haven't I?
It's about time my voice was heard.
Is it Elvis time?
Yeah, you have been moonlighting again. So I thought I'm lightening your load. That's
all right, thank you. So news and views. For me, the new Elvis mags came through this last week or so. So I've had the Man and His Music and the Fan Club.
Yeah,
I've had a renewal slip inside one of them that I may not bother with. So watch this space, see what we think about that. That was my news there. I've got to go and talk about those blooming new release remixes.
Oh my goodness me! Have we ever had such a standard drop in amongst remixes recently?
What does they call them? Peloton. So if you want to do your exercises and sweat in front of the telly in your front room and get sweat on your carpet, this is the thing for you.
Yeah.
But they've remixed songs. So I suppose we should go, you just want, I'm like riding my bike really fast music rather than quality music. What have they done? They've done four new tracks. I'm not even going to list them.
I'm just gonna mention one, and I don't think it's a very good song by Elvis anyway.
You could take over the show, and then you knock Elvis. Elvis never did anything wrong ever.
And he had unicorns running around his garden.
Yes.
I don't like. I've never been over keen on Do the Vega anyway. It's one of those songs that doesn't really flow for me, and then all of a sudden to put a little drum machine behind it and some other stuff, I think was just making it worse than it already was.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
But it's funny because that song, if you were going to do a remix of that, you'd have to go Do the Vega, and you go Vincent Vega. Mrs. Mia Wallace. You'd have to do that in a remix of it, wouldn't you? It's just obvious. Yeah.
Lighten it up a bit. Yeah.
Vincent Vega. I think, and I'm not a big technical whiz kid on sound, but I have some free software because free software is big in my computer, right? I like free software, but I can take this is stuff that's out there. You can take the vocals and just leave the music. You can take the music and just leave the vocals.
Oh, wow.
And we've got this software, and there's a drop in quality of the vocal because it takes away whatever that range or whatever the technical stuff is. And the quality of the vocal diminishes, where something like A Little Less Conversation, they were handed proper tracks, weren't they? They were done. The quality of the vocal on that is absolutely bang on. These are 10 a penny. Now, I got inspired of how bad remixes were. I've made 2.
No.
Which I think are equally as bad. Not equally as good.
No.
Which I may put on the Facebook thing shortly. Well, you inspired the one because I asked you to tell me what track to do, didn't I?
Yes.
So
I did wonder what you were up to, I have to say.
Yes. So I've done that one.
Oh, no.
And then the other one I've done because of irony, basically. Isn't it ironic, don't you think?
So what are you going to call yourself? VXL rather than JXL?
Yeah, just 2XL. Yeah. It's what it says in the name of my jumper.
So look out for that one, striding up your online charts anytime.
But I think it's easy to do poor. It's not easy to do a good remix. And the worst thing is, why do they always have to remix a dance track? Why hasn't anybody just done a blues album? And I've said this for forever. An Elvis blues track with proper BB King type Chicago blues,
it's like Memphis is the city of the blues, isn't it? So they're really missing a trick there.
So you'd have thought so. So my news was on that. My last bit of news is I've just ordered my sold out Volume 2 DVD of all the 8mm home movie stuff again, so I can be absolutely anoracking it again soon.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that with interest.
A little more conversation with TalkingElvis.co.uk.
What have you got in the news and views?
Well, it's have we got to a stage now where Elvis's new songs, like A Little Less Conversation, was fairly new for a lot of the people because it was remixed, wasn't it, in 2002? And that's fairly. But now they're using, and they use it a lot. They use it in sporting events. They use it on adverts and all this sort of stuff. But they've recently They've been using it on another advert recently on the television in England. I think it was Daily Mail, something for kids' computers or something like that.
Oh no, I don't know this one.
It's a good cause, don't get me wrong, it's a good cause. And in the background, you've got the exact reproduction of A Little Less Conversation, and then when the bloke starts singing, it's not Elvis, which I thought, why use the exact same sound tracking?
Oh man,
and not the voice? It just seemed bizarre to me. Because
so you've got Johnny in a jumpsuit doing it.
I don't know whether it was Johnny in a jumpsuit or whether it's some just 12-year-old off the X Factor. I have no idea. That just seemed bizarre to me. I didn't understand.
I've got to look that one up. I don't know that one.
I think it's something like Daily Mail, all one word, and like I say, it's for a charity to get kids learning and stuff like that. So it's a good charity, So I've got no issue with that. I just wonder why they haven't used the Elvis part of it. Even the Elvis remix, which is the biggest in Elvis music history, has been changed already. And we're only talking 20 years later, so a bit of a strange one.
Really?
Well, it's 2002, wasn't it? So 18 years, 19 years. Sorry,
my life.
I know. Where has that time gone? It's and there's another thing. Like you mentioned, the magazines that have come through. Now I've had renewal notices for both of mine, so that's a double bubble for me this month. And inside the Elvis Man and His Music magazine, there's new from Follow That Dream, his Hand in Mine sessions. Now, this is £46 if you're in the UK. And it's got 3 albums on it, or 3 discs in there with lots of different sessions. Now, you tell me what the difference is. Now, when we went to Randers in Denmark in February last year, we basically bought most of his shop, didn't we? We bought whatever was there.
We did.
And amongst the stuff that I bought was what I thought was the Follow That Dream, His Hand in Mine sessions, which has got 2 discs in it. and loads of remixes. So where do they find the third disc from? That's what I want to know. And why they're charging an extra 20 quid for it.
Yeah. And there's like another 3 minutes of music
And
because
what's the point of me buying that 12
yeah.
months after I bought the first lot? I don't understand. So that was just
It's true because when it was advertised, that was one I never bought.
Right.
I had a knockoff copy of it, but I never was that fussed, and I thought, well, I'll buy it next. So for me, this is a blessing because I love the three album sets where they put everything all together in the right order. But yeah, it's all part of the great scraping the barrel campaign, isn't it?
In all fairness, you've got a bit more of the packaging involved. There's probably, I mean, there is a book in, there's a little
there's a book and everything, but
there's a booklet in the one I've got as well, mind.
That's true.
But maybe they put an extra couple of photographs in. Who knows?
Well, you'll have the Botswana orange label edition. There was only 6 of picture.
Well, I've been looking out for that one for ages, so I look forward to that.
Well, there's one. What is it? One channel of stereo missing, and they play it backwards. It sounds like Paul is dead.
Right. Looking.
Yeah, so I think you've got that one. Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll be all right. But it is the thing here. Is like all of these. I love to have 28 different versions of "I'm Going to Walk Dem Golden Stairs." But when will I ever listen to them? Unless they're really different.
Yeah.
You just go back to the basics, don't you?
Pretty much, yeah. You put that album on because you don't want to hear His Hand in Mine restarted 14 do you? So, but never mind. It's all good fun. And if you're into buying all those different ones, then good luck to you. And please write in and tell us.
So you're not a happy bunny, are you? You've taken over the show. You're ranting and moaning. There's no pleasing some folks.
I come from the position of power, which is number one microphone today. So it makes a nice change to be on this side of the desk. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm saying it's been a while.
Yeah, I really have got to watch my P's and Q's today, haven't I?
Indeed. Otherwise, I should be pressing buttons and all sorts.
Off.
Follow that with an explosion sound effect.
Yeah.
Right then. Okay. So, despite me being on number one mic this week, you have been going off and soloing. So, Mr. Vincent, what have you got for us this week on Talking Elvis?
Love this one. This is a bit different because I got approached. Dun, dun, dun. It wasn't me going, talk to me, please talk to me, like I normally do. The publishers of a new Elvis book, Ping, wrote and said, how would you like to talk to this fella?
Excellent.
And I didn't know much about him. I didn't recognise the name or anything, but good quality music journalist, not just, fan and whatever else. Worked on everything from Viz to the music papers, published 10 books on different things. Again, things from Iron Maiden, New Maiden, New Maiden. I used to work in a record shop. Chap used to come in, New Maiden. That was the only conversation I ever had with him. All about Iron Maiden. So that was interesting. Lots off mic that we had a chat about. Really interesting fella. Okay. And a book with a difference. Right. Now, the title of this book is An A to Z. When you're thinking, hang on, I've got 12 of these already, haven't I?
Yeah.
Right. An A to Z of Elvis. Not the A to Z of Elvis or my A to Z, but an Elvis. Now, this is a book with a difference. And I think it's right up our street. Because if you want the big, glossy, 50, 60 quid, T is for Tuesday, Elvis did this on a Tuesday, type A to Z books, they're out there. They've been out there for years. This is it's described in several ways throughout the interview, but this is a conversation starter. This is the weird and the wacky. This is not just the bizarre, and you can tell that the guy is a fan because it's not just Elvis is a weirdo, D is for drugs. It's not that book, but it's nice. It's contemporary. It could be read by non-Elvis fans. I think some of you might object on principle, but give it a chance.
Okay, then. So this is Vince, and this is his interview for this week. Enjoy.
So this week I've got a very special guest. I've got Joe Shooman. Never heard of him, I heard you say. Yeah, well, neither had I. So let's bring him in. Hello, Joe.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, great, thanks. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming along with us, because we know you've got a new little goodie for us, which I've received and I've read. So that's good. You'll find out whether I like it or hate it in a minute. And the thing with this show is it doesn't matter. The truth comes out. That's all I want. If you say Elvis stinks, he was a waste of space, then that's what you say. If you go, I love him, I love him. But, I don't want a whitewash here going, he never did a dodgy thing in his life. So we're good to go on that. So absolutely. I'm going to go straight in with my usual questions. And we reckon these 5, they sort out the men from the boys, right? This sorts it out. Question 1: have you ever been to Graceland?
Yes.
Love it or hate it?
It's smaller than you think. I know everybody says that.
Is it? I mean, I haven't been since '85. I was supposed to go last year, and COVID got in the way. So I was paid up and ready to go in June, and it all went wallop. Is it Disneyland now?
No, actually, I mean, it is quite garish, some of it, but the house itself, I think, because you can't go upstairs still, so that's a bit of mystery about it. And I'm glad actually you can't go upstairs, because I wouldn't want to go to the lavatory and you know what I mean, the private.
Well, I'm going to say this is where he fell off the throne. You don't want. Yes.
But I mean, it does give you a real feel of the jungle room is such a garish and
I love that. I mean, that's everything 70s stands up for, isn't it?
Yeah, over the top. But you know what? Why not? But
I love all that. So well worth going. How long since you've been? Is it in the last few years or right?
It was a few years ago. But I really enjoyed looking into the kitchen.
See, that wasn't open when I went. I went. It was really early days.
Yeah.
So that's all new to me. So I've got that treat to come. But I'm getting some people tell me, yeah, you've got to go. So we're hopefully booking it next year now. But got to do it. But I'm glad you've done it. So that's a good start. So we're working out a little bit more about you. So you definitely went there. This one's going to point to your age. So I'm a bit sorry about this one. How did you hear the news that Elvis had died?
Oh, well, I was 3 at the time.
So you sat up watching the news at 10, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. I put down my cocktail and went, oh dear, my lord. He's, No,
so you don't really know a world with Elvis?
I mean, it's 77. What a year. I mean, the year of punk and the year of Elvis maybe dying.
Yeah, that's great. Again, in the music history, it is from the ashes of the phoenix and all that, isn't it? Punk comes out. And what's the difference between punk and rockabilly in 54, 55? It's loud and it upsets parents. It's great.
Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly. It's the attitude. It's not, punk was not a new thing. Elvis was a punk by any definitions.
Absolutely.
Of punk, so it's that anti-establishment energy and kind of
3 chords and you're away.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so yeah.
I always think, I see your rock connection. I'll look at it in a bit. I'm where I'm from, is the heart of rock. We've got Robert Plant wandering around the streets of Stourbridge, and I've seen him in that many little cheesy pubs, more than I've seen him at proper venues, and Black Sabbath up the road, Slade over the other way, so we love all this, and rock is just rock and roll but louder and faster, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a what would you say? It's what they say about a river. A river is never the same. It's always flowing. It's still a river. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they're all stepping stones in the constant river of rock action.
Yeah. And then there's these odd little puddles of music that you just go, oh dear. Right.
Yeah. What have I trodden in?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh dear me, don't go down that street.
Talk about the good times with Talking Elvis.
Now here's the one where whether I put the phone down on you now or not.
Okay.
Do you watch tribute artists and or what do you call them? Tribute artists, ETAs, whatever you want to call them, impersonators. Are you an Elvis impersonator fan?
No, not really. I like it when you get something that's like a hybrid. Like there's a band going around called Elvana that I'm sure you're aware of.
Yes, yeah.
That kind of thing. I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it is entirely worth having a go at, and it's bringing something new to the story, isn't it? But why would you want to go and see somebody singing not as well as Elvis, who isn't Elvis, who doesn't have the charisma, who doesn't look like him, who is doing an impression? It sort of bends my head a bit. That
I am completely anti it. I get into trouble for being anti it. I produced a T-shirt with no ETAs on, so that went down well. Really not keen on, you wouldn't go and buy a photo, my drawing of the Mona Lisa. You'd want the original, or you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't have my crappy drawing. But I do like this, like your Nirvana one, and there was one tribute I saw locally called King Rocker, and he does rock tunes with a proper rock band, but in the style of Elvis, and a whole lot of Rosie. He's amazing. Yeah.
Yes, and there was the King, over from Belfast.
Yeah.
In, I think the mid-90s, early 2000s. I mean, he just naturally sounded like Elvis, so he did all sorts of things, and but like you say, almost like this King Rocker, in the same vein, and that's great. It's bringing something new. It's like, what would these sound like with somebody of Elvis's register and charisma, and that's exciting. That's interesting.
We've spent many a drunk night with the what if, the Elvis didn't die in 1977. He went into hospital. 3 weeks later, he's back out. Write the story. And you just go, oh, God, he'd have headlined Live Aid and everything, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, crazy. So you're sounding like a bit of a fan here. Which is good, because I didn't know which way you were going to go. I looked at the book, and there's stuff in there you go, he's got to be, because nobody would talk about that if they didn't know him. So favourite song off the top of your head now?
I was thinking about this. I'm going to say Pulsar Danny today.
Oh, great stuff. It is great stuff. Loud as proud. Favourite film? Do you like the cheesy ones?
No, I hate them. I think it's just one of the most tragic things, actually, because I think he could have been a really good actor, Elvis. But you're talking about the Colonel and stuff like that. But what do you think? What's the one with? I can't even think of the name of it. It's based on a stone for Danny Fisher, and it's got
King Creole.
King Creole, of course.
Yeah.
That is legitimately a good film.
I mean, that's a cough and a spit from film noir, isn't it? I mean, really, it's Michael Curtiz's director. So Casablanca, that'll do for me. That should have been the way forward.
Yeah, totally. And he's very credible in it, and a bit rough around the edges, but I mean, you take the songs out of it, it's still a good film, Well,
I always say, take the songs out of it. It's a James Dean film, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that good. It's that good. But then you find him singing to a leopard in the Arum Scarum, and you just think, oh, what were you thinking? Beatles are taking over the world, and you're singing to a duck. It's a sad tale, isn't it?
It is. I laugh, but because of how ridiculous, how ludicrous it is to take somebody of that sort of force of nature like Elvis was then, upcoming, slightly anti-establishment even after the army, and to reduce him to rubble. It's scandalous, really. I mean, when you think about the talent that's just wasted, and you can probably trace a lot of the final downfall to those days. If you're doing stuff so bad that you're folding it in all the time, it must have an effect on you mentally.
Yeah, you've got to, and it writes itself, doesn't it? It's a scary one. All right, so one last final question before we get onto the treadmill of publicising. Let's go for, and I know your answer before you did it. Do you dress up like Elvis?
So I just have to be careful what I say. My wife's not in the room at the moment.
Now you dress as
I
Priscilla.
have, yes, I have done. I sort of have done. I remember there was
A tongue-in-cheek kind of way, or
no, well, it was Elvis-esque because we went to it was a New Year's Eve party or something. So I put on like all white. So I had a white shirt, white trousers, sort of linen stuff,
yeah,
and glasses, and my hair was a bit Elvisy. It wasn't like based on an Elvis outfit, but it was, it gave me the attitude, and it's the way you carry it, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I have been known to, but not in the,
No, I mean
not,
it is that there are people who I've seen down the supermarket wearing a jumpsuit because they eat, sleep, breathe, and you go no. I was very much a 50s fan, so in a way I dressed as Elvis because I was that rockabilly. So you have to, but yeah, there's a difference with walking around Asda in your jumpsuit. So I think we've got the feel of it there that you've come to this project from a good place.
Thank you. I tried.
Right. So what have we got? We've got a book that came through called An A to Z of Elvis, which before I knew whether you were American or not, I thought, am I doing the A to Z? But no, it's the A to Z, isn't it? Right, we like this.
It is the A to Z, yeah. We'll call it what you
that'll
like.
confuse me, American listeners.
A to Z.
A to Z, yeah. So I've seen a million A to Z books. I've bought 1,000 books, which does say, T is for Tuesday, and Tuesday Elvis had a salad, and they tell you everything. They're wonderful, but there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So I thought, it's not a big book. How would you describe the book itself? What is it? A5.
Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? It's probably about A5 size, yeah. But
A5, and how many pages? Squillion pages?
I don't know how many pages there are, but I mean, it's not huge, but
it's a nice, easy read.
Yeah, and it's the sort of thing. You don't read it from the start to the finish all in one go. I mean, in all honesty, Vince, if you had it next to your lavatory,
that's my next line. It's in my notes.
That would be a good place for it to be because you sort of dip in and dip out, and the entries are not too long, and hopefully they're interesting enough to keep coming back to it. And I have to say at this point, one thing that really makes it is the illustrations by a guy called Horse. I mean, his real name's Gary.
The cover one, the Bowie-esque Elvis. I love that. Yeah. I'd have that. I'd have that as a framed picture. I think that's just weird enough to be art. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's done a cracking job because there is a David Bowie link, and there's an entry for Bowie in here. And everything in that picture is. There's a sort of a little Illuminati thing around his neck as well. And
so this is the good thing about this book. It's would you say, how have you chosen these entries then? Because they're not E is for Elvis. Elvis was born this day. But V is for Vernon. It's not just the bog standard stuff. They're fairly obscure, but not unknown. But first time they've ever all been together, probably, isn't it?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it's like you said earlier, right? There are literally thousands of books about Elvis, thousands, and 200 more come out a year or something ridiculous. Yeah. So I've always wanted to do an Elvis book, being an Elvis fan and a music fan, and it's such a fascinating story. But also, what would be the point of doing E is for Elvis? He was born in blah 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 blah. So but over in these internet days, there is funny little corners, aren't there? You can go down all sorts of rabbit holes about conspiracy theories. Yeah. Not the most well-known facts or theories about, in this case, Elvis. And I wanted to present those in a way that was accessible and not as terrifying as some of these websites are when you start reading them. To extract the theories and some of the and to put them more into the sort of oeuvre of Elvisology, if you like.
Yeah. and I think it's a good book for, you know, for somebody like me. I'm always looking at what's the next book, and it's either a big glossy coffee table book that costs 150 quid with 3 CDs and 4 seconds of new material, or it's the kiss and tell. You know, I polished Elvis's shoes once, so I better write a book about it. So I'll steer clear of those now. So yeah, so I'm a fan of this book. I liked it because of the rock crossover. So I like that there's current things in there, and showing the sort of the lifeline of Elvis is still going on, because this rocker does that, this does the other, as well as weird and wonderful things. So I think to have, I don't want to give the game away of every entry, but if you've got Charles Manson and Bill Murray as 2 entries in the book, you've got to want to read that, haven't you? You've got to want to say, well, why? You know, that's not going to be something you'd search on every Elvis site. So those are good. Things like Home Alone, I've yet to check that out, because so I'm not giving it away there, but I need to look at that. And Zelda, didn't know that as well. So the new things for me are the weird pop culture ones that I'm going to have to go, oh yeah, because it's keeping it current.
We can talk about the Home Alone thing because it's quite, it's out there.
Yeah.
There is a section in Scranton Airport in that movie. And you can just put it into YouTube or any of those sites like that.
Yeah.
And you will see somebody in the background of that scene. He looks like Elvis, but the most, the kicker for it, if you like, is there's just one little head movement that he does just naturally, and he's just an extra at the back of this scene.
Yeah.
And you think, whoa, hang on, and this movie was done in 1988 or something. Yeah. So it's things like that, and you think, well,
I like it.
I mean, there's no judgment from me as to whether it's Elvis or anything like that. But what I'm saying in this book is these things are out there. Check it out, see what you think.
Yeah.
And as you say, the Elvis story continues, and his influence on culture is alive. Still alive.
This is so much better than if an item is on the news, they'll get a guy in a jumpsuit to sit there. And this book isn't that. And I love that we're not just going, so we're not just doing that. And it's fresh and it's funny, and you can talk to your mates down the pub about it that aren't connected. So I was looking at your history. I was looking at these other books that you'd been involved with. So what other books had you written before this?
This is my 10th, actually.
Yeah.
So I've done, as you say, some rock biographies. I did Iron Maiden, a band called Trivium, Kasabian, Blink-182, things like that.
So that's a good one. That Blink-182, that was one that I told my son about, and he was like, "Oh, great!" So, a big fan of that. My mates, some of the rockers, all of the Iron Maiden stuff.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, it's funny because I've been a music journalist for 20 years nearly now. So, you tend to things sort of come to you almost if you've been around enough. Yeah. So I just got asked to do a Trivium book in about 2006, and I was like, okay, yeah, who are they? I don't know, let's find out. Yeah. But if it goes well enough, people ask you to do another one, and then you can kind of move it towards where you want the things that you're really interested in. And I am interested in stories. It's all storytelling, as music is storytelling, of course. But the story of Elvis, continually fascinating. The story of Iron Maiden. You've got the official history, and then you've got, well, let's say, some other people's views of that. I'm not going to say which one's the truth, but the truth is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So as long as there's something there that I feel, there's enough there to investigate, to add to the story, I guess, then I'll do it, because I've never wanted to just bash out any book that is just like pointless, because you spend so much time of your life doing it, and what's the point?
So was this Elvis book was this bubbling under for years, collated it and then went for it, sort of thing?
Because Tracy, the publisher, Tracy Morgan, she's I've known her for many, many years, and we've always discussed working together.
Well, she's done some interesting books on John Candy, hasn't she?
Precisely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and when I saw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I thought this is giving this the pedigree is getting better and better. I want to do this. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I mean, we the whole thing is it's just come together really nicely, because I collect Elvis books with my dad, and I've over the years, you read them and you think some of them, as you know, are just so rubbish, and some are so silly, but you can't help gravitating towards them. And I've always thought, what isn't there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a journalist, what stories haven't been told yet, or haven't been brought together?
Yeah.
And that's why it was right to do it now rather than sort of 10 years ago, because I think the further away you get from Elvis's heyday, the less credible really some of the accounts are.
Yeah.
Because people are dying off and stuff like that. It's just natural, and it's all been told before. But with the internet exploding, and it's just so much part of our life now that you can do some seriously deep research and find out some little tidbits.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily corroborate them, but you can shed some light on them. And it was fascinating for me to do it. And you say labour of love, but I mean, there's times when I just, I laughed when I was writing it because some of the things are so silly. I cried. I mean, one of the most emotional ones was that Unchained Melody performance in June '77. I had to. I wanted a way of, he's so diminished as a person and as a human. He's in a bad state health wise.
Yeah.
And then Charlie Hodge holds a microphone to him, and he pulls out of heaven this extraordinary performance of Unchained Melody. I mean, I'm getting shivers now just thinking about it. It's so powerful and so visceral, and so it is pure emotion. And you think, wow, this still nearly 50 years later, I guess, is an incredible moment. And it said something about the musician and the love in the heart of the man. And how could you not, want to somehow kind of like write about that and to do that justice, as well as, hopefully have some fun. I mean, it's been quite a journey, actually, when I think about it, for many reasons, really. But yeah, I'm very proud of this book. And although some of it is tongue in cheek, of course, yeah. I mean,
But that's what I like. That's I'm sick of it being earnest.
Yeah.
And Elvis was a good man and he did no wrong. And
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was fun. This, like you say, it was a drop into it. And I can see now you've said look at the Home Alone bit on YouTube. It's you're going to do that with every entry, aren't you? You're going to go Disgraceland. What's that? And then you're going to go in and yeah, I can imagine I'm going to get lost in the internet tonight. Sort of going through this because one thing will lead to another.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wanted to put in and you just thought, I can't. I just can't.
Well, I mean, I think my answer to that is that I think there's a line where you stop being gently satirical and you start being nasty.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to cross that because you can go into all sorts of stuff. So I didn't want to go into toxicology reports, or anything like that.
Well, that's been done to death in another way, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and it's not. I suppose there is value in that in one way, and it is part of the story, of course. But that wasn't what I wanted to be. I had quite a clear idea of the tone, and like you say, I'm so proud that you've nailed it and said this is the sort of thing. You have a pint and you you're talking with your mates at the bar. You go, "Did you know Elvis was in Home Alone?" You know, and it just passes a bit of time, and it's that's what it was intended to be all the way along. And you know, I hope we've hit the right tone. I think we have. But I wouldn't want to go too personal into private life and stuff like that. That's not my place to do. And it's not that kind of book. And so I was always very aware of being sort of sensitive in that sense.
So who were you aiming it for? I mean, would you aim it at? Would you say every fan? You know, you're going to say yes, every fan should buy it because it'll pay for your mortgage. But but I mean, you know. Do you think that when you did it, there was a tiny market for it, or do you see mainly not Elvis fans buying it, but just as that sort of leaping point, springboard sort of thing for other people?
I guess I would say both, really. I mean, you know, I want Elvis fans to be able to read it and go, oh well, that's an interesting thing I didn't necessarily know. Or, you know, that's a load of nonsense. And also, you know, I mean, if you've got something in it with David Bowie, you know, Glenn Danzig, Paul Di'Anno from Iron Maiden, you know, John Lennon, and some of the films and stuff like that, and Vampira. It's quite broad in its.
It's pop culture.
Pop culture, exactly.
It is. It's pop culture, but with Elvis as the core.
Absolutely.
So I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot. It's a lot. How much is it? Have you got a? Is it available on Amazon and everywhere else now?
It will be available on Amazon 23rd of March. Brilliant. I believe it's $9.99.
Yeah, well, that again, you know, the tenner. The tenner's nothing. You know, you go down there and buy your 4-pack. Decent bottle of wine, whatever. So I'm all for it. I think it's a good book. I think people will read it. I think some of our listeners will go, it's sacrilege because, you know, because how dare you put a Zowie Bowie on the front, which I just will laugh at. So that's funny. But some just want him to be, you know, all unicorns and rainbows. So it's not for me for that. I think it's a good read. I think it'll generate conversation. So for Talking Elvis, that's what we want. I want people to come on the next episode of this and tell me if they loved it or hated it. You know, that's great. I know we're going to do that. Did I see in your bio that you contributed to Viz?
Yeah, I've done. Over the years. Yeah.
So again, that was when I first told my co-host. I said I was going to be interviewing Johnny Farty Pants. He was really impressed. I
love Viz. I've always loved it.
Yeah, I mean that one. From day one when my brother used to have it. You know, and it was shocking. It was great. So I knew it was going to be funny before it arrived. I knew it was going to be pop culture. I love the cover. A tenner's good in anybody's world because the pubs are shut. You can't buy beer, so you've got to buy this book, haven't you?
There you go. I'll put that on the front.
That's good. And Bubba Hotep in it, which is a film I watch far too regularly. So I love all that one. Any thoughts on a volume 2?
Oh, I don't know really. I mean,
I've got the first 4 pages in my head for you. Right. I suddenly started thinking, oh, do you know, that would be good in there. Oh, and remember that story and remember that. So it was really weird. So,
we've run out of letters though, so we'll have to start on numbers.
You'd have to do, it'd be
1 to 10 of 8.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I am. I think probably there is scope for more of these sort of factoids. It's endlessly fascinating. I mean, you know, where do you stop? That's the question. Where do you stop? You could go on forever with it. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how this one goes, and then.
When I put the podcast out, I bizarrely, nobody really notices. It's a lot of hard work for me, but I give every title of the show a song title, but nothing to do with Elvis.
Right.
so that they're all there, you know, the FBI from the Shadows to whatever else, nothing to do with Elvis, was what I've called that one. And it just popped in my head. I need the theme tune to Tales of the Unexpected for this episode.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so I will be calling this episode Tales of the Unexpected.
Excellent. I'm not dancing naked over the title.
Yeah. Oh, please, we've turned the camera off.
No,
So all good stuff here then. We're not big ETA fans. We like a little bit of conspiracy theory. We've got all sorts of rock and serial killers in there. We've got a Viz connection, an Iron Maiden connection. We've even got a John Candy connection, so I'm happy to go down that route. Volume 2, you heard it here first, and I think we've covered loads. Is there anything else you'd want to add to it?
No, I'm just, you know, I want to thank everybody, you know, for listening, and thank people in advance for taking it as what it's intended to be, which is a lightish-hearted set of interesting, hopefully, facts to start some conversations off, and you know, and to have a drink with your friends when you can, and to, you know, keep the conversation about Elvis alive, because when it comes down to it, what an amazing singer we're talking about. Never mind all the rest of it. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, vocalists of all time. Perfect. And without that fact, none of the other facts are worth anything.
Yeah. You do your rock family tree, it all goes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long live Elvis.
Long live Elvis. Well, thank you very much, Joe. I'm really pleased you've come along today. Got this book. I shall read it again. I shall be boring people in pubs at some point with strange and interesting facts. And it's right up our street. We love talking Elvis. We love obscure and weird. And now we love the Tales of the Unexpected. Let us know if you do anything else in the future. Let us know what else is going on. Shove this podcast when I put it out next week or so. Post this all over your bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And we'll love it. So thank you very much. Big round of applause for Joe.
Yay! It's an absolute pleasure. I'm delighted to be asked, and keep up the good work, really.
Yes, thanks.
Excellent stuff from Joe. What I'll tell you what, I'm going to look out for this book.
It's great. I got to say that they sent me a copy through. And you know, it is like we just said. It's to sit on the carsy and have it. It's a when the pubs are open, you'll go, hey, do you know Elvis was in Home Alone? Do you know that? And it's those weird things. But I loved that he chose how great the vocal of Unchained Melody, which is obscure to Joe public, but not to Joe Shooman.
Indeed, yeah.
It's a good little book, some weird ones, you know.
Well, the fact that I went and looked for that straight away says to me that I'm going to be looking these things up, these entries in the book, more than I would do Elvis had a burger on a Friday.
Yeah.
Because it's more out there, a bit more, should we say weird, for want of a better word, that I'm going to be looking those things up. And that, to me, is the essence of what this type of book should be about. It makes you curious.
And do you think, you know, I mean, I said to him, I'm not going to diss the book because I genuinely like the idea of it. But I think that this sort of thing in the hands of a non-fan isn't going to be as sacrilegious as a poor ETA. I think that if this gets somebody who is an Iron Maiden fan who bought it because he knows the name, who goes, hey, do you know Elvis did this? Or do you know David Bowie? Do you know Charles Manson? And as this conversation, then somebody goes, but they're saying how great the vocal of Unchained Melody is. Do you know, I've got to check that out. And it doesn't mean putting your hand in your pocket. It's go on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a good a span there, isn't it, from the wacky and to the out, you know, to the daft, to the sincere, and he's managed to bridge that just in one go by talking about Unchained Melody there, isn't he?
But and as I said to him, Volume 2, you know, and I've sat and made a list.
Have you already?
Yeah.
Have you genuinely done that?
I have genuinely gone. I wrote the letters A to Z down, and I put little notes of, oh, that'd make another good one. That'd make another good one. So,
Wow. I want to see that before.
Overall, a nice little bit of artwork in it. It's wacky. It's keep it by the carsy. It's keep it in your back pocket. Probably sort of, only a small little magazine. It's a bit Grey Sports Almanac or or whichever one's your favourite. But I think it's well worth it.
I sincerely hope that people go out and have a look at this because if you want facts about Elvis, there are hundreds of thousands of books out there already. About he was born this day in 1935, he died that night in 1977. You do this, do that, and he played this concert in that city and played that movie and with that co-star. It's all there. It's already there. You don't need another one of those. But this one just looks, hey, let's have something a bit different. Let's have something that makes you think a little bit more and something that actually just puts a smile on your face. That's all we want.
And isn't that the essence of Talking Elvis? It's what we would have said. If we'd have found one of those facts, you'd have run in the pub and go, do you know Elvis and Charles Manson, right?
Yeah.
And you'd have just gone, oh, what a great story. I've got to look that up.
We would have based whole Talking Elvis episodes on a couple of entries, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So very good. So Joe, top man, thank you very much for coming along.
Well done, well done.
And I think in my cheesy manner, and I know I'm not running the show today, but I'm going to try and squeeze this in at the end. Don't stay away, Joe.
Yeah, more from Vince next time, folks. Excellent stuff. So,
what are we doing next time?
So, yes, come back soon. Right, next time, I think we should talk about...
Pop music. Shooby-dooby-doo-up.
We've been around a bit, haven't we? In the Elvis world, we're saying. And
are you implying I'm getting on a bit?
Sadly, so am I.
Yeah.
Because we both remember the same things, which is a bit distressing for me. And surprising, actually, because I can't remember what I did yesterday. But there we go. That's another story. So we've been around a bit. We've played some pubs. We've played some clubs. We've been on the radio. We've broadcast live from somebody's back garden shed.
Oh, God, yes.
All sorts. So,
those days.
So what do you reckon? What do you reckon if we sort of... it's another sort of reminiscing program that we did similarly back in the last episode, but actually a bit more specific about to the live gigs, the live Elvis gigs that we've played and been to. What do you reckon to that?
Like it.
Yeah, shall we have a look at that? Because that'll be a little trip down memory lane. And
hopefully I will have had sold out DVD and maybe his Hand in Mine box set by the time we're next on. If you're out there in TV land, don't forget to write in, get involved. We really want your input. We're glad that the numbers, the listening figures are going up, and loads of people like it on Facebook. Join in, take part. We do it anyway, whether anybody listens or not, because we love the sound of our own ego. But join in. Let's get you in there. Is there anybody new, anything weird story, anything a little bit different? Not just Elvis recorded this on a Tuesday. Yeah.
And if you do buy this A to Z, Elvis A to Z that Joe has just been talking about with Vince, then let us know what you think about it, because we're certainly going to let you know over the coming shows as well. So we might even be, I'm sorry, Joe, but we might even be nicking one or two little lines out of your book for the benefit of the public, without giving too much away, of course. Okay, then. Okay, I think that's it for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been good fun for me pressing the buttons. So that is it from me, from Ian Gray. Thank you very much. And from Mr. Vince.
Thank you very much.
Tune in next time for Talking Elvis.
See you all. Bye now.
Find us at www.talkingelvis.co.uk or Facebook or YouTube or Spotify. In fact, any place you get your podcasts.